Children are of God, and it is the desire of every couple to have them. No parent wishes to have a child born with any form of disabilities or complications. Unfortunately, this desire sometimes turns out negatively beyond the control of parents. Sometimes, some children are born with one or more health complications, including childhood cancers, autism, the 13 killer diseases, physical disabilities, visual impairment, among many others. These health complications become a source of worry for these parents. Luckily, with the advancement of science and medicine in the 21st century, most pregnancy and child-related ailments have found cure, while others can be treated when diagnosed early. Such is the story of 15-year-old Phil Bettino, a teenager living with the condition of autism.
All right, today we find ourselves at the Latino Center for Children with Special Needs. Children are most of the time born with a lot of deformities and disabilities. It can be hearing, it can be visual, it can be physical, it can be mental, and autism is also one of them. This young, handsome guy has been living with the condition of autism for 15 years. He was born a normal child until the age of 2 years that the parents realized that he had the condition of autism. So we are here to assess how far he has recovered till now. How old are you?
15 years.
15 years. Wow! Phil is 15 years.
He is the first child of Mr. Philip B. Bettino and Madame Angel Elizabeth Aqua Bettino. Medical experts suggest Phil's conception and birth were without complications. He was a healthy child and grew up with no signs of disabilities or abnormalities. Regrettably, disaster struck when he turned 6 years, when young Phil was diagnosed with autism.
I have 3 children, 2 girls and 1 boy. Phil is the firstborn, and he happened to be the boy among them. So in my hometown, we cherish giving birth to male children much more than the female, because we do farming, and normally it's the guys who go to the farm to weed. So we were happy. Having in mind that there are couples who've been married for years without any issue, and then we got married. I think it was the 3rd year that Phil came. So I was very much excited to be a father, and we had many hopes for him, and we thought that Phil would grow up to become a professional like some of us. But when he was growing up, 1 year, 1.5 years, everything was fine. He started babbling, mommy and the rest started coming. But all of a sudden, getting to 1.5 years, everything dropped. For some time, Phil could not mention mommy, daddy as he used to. And he became very hyperactive. His first school, the headmistress thought that maybe he was not of a sound mind. So he requested that we do some medical check. We did all that. We didn't know what was wrong with him. So at a point we gave up, until some years back that we took him to the Achimota Assessment Center, and they said that it is autism. That was the first time I heard of that, even terminology. So we were asking ourselves, autism, what is it? And we got to know it's a condition that has no cure, and we don't know how it comes about. And we became very much worried. We said, oh, so this is how Phil is going to end. He has to grow with it. We have to manage him all throughout his life. And we were thinking, so if you are not alive, how is Phil going to live independently? So these were the questions that crossed our mind, and we did not have answers to them. I was very much worried. As a father, sometimes people consider it to be a sort of failure, because your first child, this is what you've brought forth. and we had a lot of negative statement from people, friends, family members, and the rest. So because of Phil, we were all alone, and people withdrew themselves from us. We had to go through all the struggles here and there alone. So I was very much worried. At a certain point, we were spending more on him than the rest of the family. Wherever he goes, we have to get somebody that we have to pay to take care of him.
In fact, if I say that it has been a headache, it's an understatement. As my husband said, we have really been through a lot. I remember there was a time that they told me that these children, they haven't seen it in their family before. So it has not been easy, especially me as a woman, dating for quite long, marriage, and then some years before having a child like that, and then your first child being an autistic child. In fact, if you don't take time, it got to a time, I think I wrote a note that I needed to kill myself and kill the boy. That is the extent that I got to. I was wearing size 26 because the depression almost took over my life. I remember it was the same room, and then I was there. I wrote the letter, and then I needed to kill Phil first before I will end my life. What parents are really going through, in fact, you know nothing about it. So I was there, then I called Princess. Princess, that's the second one. Who is at the back? Because I heard the voice. If it's not you, it's who? So I said, who is there? Nothing. So I told Princess to check the back. So Phil will come to the room and quickly rush. Come and look at me and you laugh and then come back to the hall. I said, Phil, come. You come there and look at me and then you just go back. So the last one, that's the third time. I don't know where the energy came from, nothing. I just got up, tear the papers, and I said, no, this boy recovering is me. At least the independence of the child is what I should think of. We travel a lot, almost Africa country, Nigeria, South Africa, to seek intervention for just this boy alone. When you go, even Ghana here, a lot of places, pastors that we visited. But it got to a time we realized that the acceptance is the key.
Autism is part of a group of developmental disorders called Autism Spectrum Disorders, ASD. Research shows that autism affects about 1 in 68 children. Children living with autism usually display signs and symptoms of the disease before the age of 2. Health experts say autism is 3 to 4 times as common in boys than in girls. People living with autism may also have learning disabilities or disorders or some degree of intellectual disability. However, many factors may be connected to autism, but no conclusive causes of the ailment are yet known. At age 3, he was taken to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital for examination, where the parents were advised to enroll him on a speech therapy. He enrolled for 6 months, and with no progress and coupled with the costs, the therapy was stopped. Phil's condition made the parents sought for help in several places, including spiritualists and clinical psychologists.
Young Phil's mother, Auntie Lizzie, was my next door neighbor at Latebia Okoshi. At that time, young Phil was about 3 years old. The child was hyperactive, and then I realized that the mother was having a little challenge with the child's behavior. So what happened was I tried to advise the mother on some of the things that he needs to expect. I initially advised her to take young Phil to hospital. She came back and told me that the doctor said he will be needing some few treatment and other things. I realized also it was having social effect on the mother. So Auntie Lizzie was having that like social isolation. Doesn't want to go out with Phil. and other things. So I felt I should give some psychosocial advice or psychotherapy. So what is this psychotherapy? We need to talk over the condition. Being a health professional, I know a little about autism, and then leading to my master's thesis in autism and looking at the coping strategies of parents with autistic child. So this gave me the opportunity to talk to young Phil's mother, that's Auntie Lizzie. So during my advice, I told her that she is not the only woman or mother that has such a child. We have a lot of them in the society. Of course, she didn't know about any of these things because young Phil was just a normal child, but just the behavior, could not talk and other things, and distractive. So I tried to calm her down for her to accept the condition and build her emotional conditions. So emotionally, you needed to accept it. And then socially, you should see Phil as a normal child. There's nothing wrong with Phil, but this is just a brain chemical condition that usually happens. You don't have any contribution to that. Sometimes we may feel it's a curse. Some accounts will say maybe some juju or something. So I tried to talk it over with Auntie Lizzie, and she accepted it to move on with it. We usually move on with Phil, and then now I know she has coped up with it. And then again, during my research, I came out with some of the coping things that you could do. You know, as Christians, we believe in God to support us in most of the things that we do. And socially, our friends, our mother and father relations to support us. Financially, some also need that support. So taking the child to the hospital, is it about the drugs that you should take? And then sometimes you might need special attention for the child, somebody specific to take care of Phil. And this woman have to go through all this to accept the condition. Again, Phil was not the only child of the mother. So it's like divided attention. Phil needs more attention than the others. So all of these things came together for me to take the woman Auntie Lizzie through the psychosocial therapy, and it has worked well because he have moved out to the extent that he are going to do some studies as to how to care for autistic children, and she is doing very well. I'm usually happy when I see her, and Phil is also growing very well, and when I see the two of them, I'm so much happy for the advice. He usually called that my advice has worked.
Later, further examinations conducted on Phil revealed it was autism, and this later was confirmed at the National Assessment Center at Achimota here in Accra.
The National Assessment and Resource Center is a unit under Special Education Division of Ghana Education Service. It was established in May 1975. The main purpose of the center was to assess children with disabilities. So we are to do early intervention and identification. For now, the center really takes care of the children in terms of their educational opportunities. We assess and then we give them appropriate educational placement and also make referrals to either hospitals or any other facilities that the children will benefit in terms of their disability that we find out. Currently, we have about 20,000 cases that we have assessed so far and about 9,500 review cases so far. The areas that we assess is hearing, visual, intellectual developmental disability that comprises with autism, Down syndrome, hyperactivity, attention disorder deficit. We have epilepsy, we have learning difficulties, we have speech and language disorders or communication disorders. We also assess behavioral problems and other school-related issues such as drug abuse and other emotional problems that children have in schools. Phil's mother came here around 2011. Fortunately, I was the one she met. I took the case history, and whilst taking the case history, I realized that the woman is so disturbed. She is frustrated. She is confused. So after case history, I had to counsel her. So Phil's mother benefited a lot through counseling from us. So I told her to relax, and that by the time we finish with the history and everything, she will come to realize that Phil has a lot of potentials in him that will be good for us to tap, so that Phil will come out to be somebody one day. When parents with children with disabilities realize that they have such a child, in fact, they go through shock. From shock, they go through denial. From denial, they go through guilt. From guilt, they go through what we call shopping. They go through shopping and shopping and shopping, and if you don't take time, by the time we will realize all the potentials are gone before they will come to acceptance level. In fact, they need to be here so that we can tell them the good things that they can find in their children.
This was the beginning of Phil's mother searching into the condition and available remedies. That was when Latino came across a thatch-based remedy which she applied, and it worked, leading to Phil's recovery and subsequent establishment of the Latino Center for Children with Special Needs.
I started studying, researching. Then I got to know that you have people who have recovered their own 100%. Talking about Karen Thomas and a lot. So nobody has been born being autistic. But when you are growing, then you realize that no, this time my child wasn't doing that, because you are feeding the body heavy metal. So I did the study to know what the spectrum is all about. It's just a disorder of the brain and sensory processing disorder. Meaning if the sensory can get information to the brain, the child can live independent life. So what is it? Then I got to know that there's a therapy, and then changing of the food. Now, because of the genetic food and this thing, these children are really growing with autism and this thing. Some of them hyperactive, some of them attention deficit, cognitive and this thing. So what I can do that my child will be independent was my priority. When you talk about autism have a grade. We have this sociability, you have the communication. So it's communication, language and communication, and then we have the sociability, how you mingle with people, and they have the cognitive awareness, how we speak for each other. This brain is really working, and they have the behavioral or behavior. So it's 4. So when we check Phil's own, Phil was 100% autistic child. When you check Phil's eyebrow and this thing, you can see that there is a mark there. Phil will get anything, then cut himself. You see, Phil wasn't having nails. He was just chewing the nails like that. So he chewed the nails out, so you could see that you can chew the nails out, it's finished, then you come and chew the leg one. Yes, Phil will get anything. So we realized that Phil is visual learner. What he sees, what he practices. So we off the TV, the cartoons and those things you won't watch, so that you copy anything. So through that therapy and this thing, so now Phil has recovered from autism 96.8%. we have sociability, we have the communication, we have the behavioral, and we have the cognitive. Now, what's left with Phil is Phil will communicate like me and you are communicating. But you can dictate the reading for him, he will write for you. Now, whatever Phil wants to do, he will come and tell you. He does things with his own that without asking anybody. Phil can use a bike, so he move with a bike. Phil can go to the mall and shop and pay with a pin, that's a card, and come. The father will just go, he'll pick whatever he's picking. How many regular children will do that? So this is how we rate them. So it's not about communication, talking. Somebody can talk whatever he's saying, but it's not sensible. But you talk one or two, you know exactly whatever he's saying. A child like this can ride from here to Booty Falls. A child like this can ride from Adenta to Shire Hills. And now, when you go to Shire Hills, you see they are playing his documentary there. He did a documentary for Shire Hills. When he can ride from here to, he passed through Latte, that hill, you go and come. So this is how we rate them. How many regular human beings can do that? Now, Phil is not a burden. So, talking about autism, the study let us say that certain food is not good for them. Certain food is not good for them. I'm repeating it so that people will just take note on that area. We were giving Phil everything or anything that we are eating. Phil was also eating some. So Phil was getting hyper. It was increasing day by day. So when you come to Listino Center for Children with Special Needs, especially the autistic children, we have their food that called Asian food, used to recover them. And then I can use only food, but it will take 4 good years to recover autistic child, like young Phil. It will take 4 years, but with the therapy, with 6 months, you see massive improvement that you are looking for.
A software engineer and visual arts specialist, Mr. Grimond Thompson, says autism can be reversed and cured.
Well, to help young Phil get totally recovered from autism, we may have to use emotional surgery and the neurodiets to help him. He's a lovely boy. He will get there. He will surely get there. Autism is a metabolic disorder heavily and deeply rooted within the integrated biological systems of brain cells and nerves of babies. You know, this usually comes about during pregnancy, and it falls within the diet of the pregnant woman. You know, when it is heavily induced with polyunsaturated fatty acids, it disturbs, brain cells, especially the myelin sheath. It destroys it and makes communication very difficult from neuron to neuron. The other factors are from diets, and also if the ovary of a woman stays for that long before it forms a zygote by uniting with the male sperm, there might be a hitch somewhere to engineer autism. The recovery of autism depends on the damage caused to the mitochondrial matrix, meaning the power generator sitting within the neuron, and it depends, on the damage, and it's reversible. It can be corrected. Very simple. We can reverse autism through emotional surgery, by way of dealing with neuronavigational ideators using color coding frequencies, to reverse autism spectrum. Emotional surgery usually deals with colors in motion to tickle all the 5 senses of the human brain. This is what we need to do. And secondly, we may have to resort to neurodiets. I made neurodiets, to deal with non-GMO food products. The brain understands non-GMO products. If you take anything which is outside non-GMO, the brain doesn't understand that, and it has to compute, and then later on it will dump it somewhere, and it confuses the whole human anatomy. So you need to be careful with what we eat. We must avoid GMO products and eat natural food. The body understands natural food. I would advise you not to take anything which is not from tropical oils. Tropical oils are the most excellent oils you can have in the whole wide world. Shea butter, palm kernel oil, palm oil, and coconut oil. These are the 4 that I would advise every human being to consume. It must be present in the diet of pregnant women or nursing mothers. That will help a lot because the body understands what is coming in. Children with autistic conditions may have to eat non-GMO products, 100% non-GMO products. And they need space. They don't like too much noise. And they need to be entertained, using music, and the type of music that you play to autistic children must be very soft. They don't like noise and they want space. We can cure autism by using emotional surgery systems. Secondly, we can also use non-GMO food to reverse the system by way of tickling all the 5 senses that I made mention of earlier on. So this will be based on what the medical doctors will say. They will diagnose certain things, and based on that, I will be able to help the medical doctors solve this problem easily. And it's very simple. So autism can be cured or reversed totally.
Today, Phil can do things for himself without much assistance by his parents and siblings. For instance, he cooks, plays piano, tennis ball, and has developed interest in cycling.
Young Phil is a brother, so I've been with him through his childhood and until now. So for young Phil, most of the things he learned, I first of all take him through before we get a professional to take him through. For me myself, I'm an artist, so for the painting aspect of it, I took him through the painting first. I'm an artist myself. So when it comes to art, pencil work, painting, I take him through myself, and I'm still taking him through. That is what I do with him. So when it comes to music, the music aspect, we are trying to take him through other instruments like the guitar, the drums, but for now he can play the keyboard. When it comes to the music, I learned the keyboard myself, and then I took him through. I taught him how to play it, how to play chords, so that when someone asks him to play a particular chord, he will be able to strike that chord. He plays chords, he doesn't play singles, unlike the other kids.
The first thing is the mother and the father. They took him with the startup. Yeah, they took him with the startup. I think that through his sisters, they were doing little by little, but I get to a stage.
Riding at home.
Yeah, riding at home. It gets to a stage where she says no, she has to get somebody who will help the guy. Yes, who will help Papa Phil to achieve his goal. That's where we came into the picture. We say, okay, we need to try our best to help young Phil. So I think my first journey with young Phil is Shy Hills.
You from here, Adenta to Shy Hills?
For Adenta to Shy Hills, yes. My first trip with him is from Adenta to Shy Hills. I was following him, looking what this guy is doing. It's too amazing. I was so happy.
Some superb energy that
yes.
he can ride without getting tired.
Sometimes it's reached to an extent whereby I myself, I feel it.
That you're tired?
Yes.
But he wouldn't.
No, but I have to show him that I'm ahead of him, so I have to try my best. Sometimes when I'm with him, I feel, oh yeah, very proud, very proud. And as I'm talking to you now, the longest distance that we need to cover is from Accra to Sumanya, Aprede. Okay. There's a mountain at Aprede. Those who know Aprede, they'll know what I'm talking about. Okay. It's very difficult. So we're from here to Aprede and back to Accra. even at home, not even let me say yes, at home. We ride from home to Sumanya back home, which is 103 kilometers.
Okay.
This guy is doing the riding.
Wow, he's
riding
living with the condition of autism, but he can ride bicycle on his own from here to Dodua, Aprade, and beyond. That's fantastic. That's so nice.
So I would advise those who have such kids at home, they shouldn't neglect them, they shouldn't lock them in their room. They should make inquiries so that they'll get people who are out there want to help. So they should, I think, contact Listino. Listino can help them.
Young Phil is now an autism ambassador using cycling race to champion this cause. Young Phil embarks on trips to parts of the country to create awareness about autism, and this is putting him in the limelight of the Ghanaian media.
So I have this presentation for you, and Roman, Phil, this is for you. You've done very well today in record time. So please. For GTV Sports Plus, we always say the legends live here because we've over the years brought all the celebrities and heroes and legends to on our screens to excite people. We can talk about Messi and all the big guys. Today we're presenting to you Phil Bettino. He is our legend for today. And we are all excited to be part of this event. Thank you very much.
Young Phil is on the verge of recovering totally from the condition of autism as he continues with his medical treatments. Being a male and first child of his parents, young Phil's father was hoping for him to become a world-class scientist.
So initially I had high hopes for him, and nowadays we have science, so I wanted him to become a scientist in any of the fields, whether he become a computer scientist or he eventually becomes a medical officer or whatever. So that was the hopes I had for him. So well, with autism, and now that by God's grace he's been recovered, he has a lot of potentials and capabilities. He's strong now. He does almost everything himself. He wakes up, he takes his bath, nobody tells him to do so. He goes to the kitchen, prepares his breakfast, he eats, he takes his book, he picks the laptop, and he will start learning. He will write something, bring it to you to mark. When you mark, he will count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He expects you to write 5/5 or something, and when you write, he will still be expecting write very good for him. Okay, now he has taken cycling as a profession, and it's something that worldwide we have various competitions and other things, but with his caliber we don't have people like him who are able to do the things that he's able to do. Worldwide, we don't have autistic children who are able to cycle like a normal or regular person. He's even able to beat a lot of the professional cyclists themselves because of his energy and his strength. So he can take the cycling far away. Now we've gotten him a manager who will be connecting him to the outside world, so that Phil will also be exposed, and the world will know that such children, they are not burden. There is more that we can do with them. We have various streams, even cycling. Some combine it with swimming and also racing. Okay, so we are also trying him on swimming, and then he also does a lot of sports, maybe running around. Okay, so we want to know whether he can combine these three. Okay, so that we have, what do you call it, triathlon also. Yeah. So we have a competition where you ride a bicycle to a certain point, you swim to a certain point, and then you run. So we are trying to train him around this to see if he can combine these three.
My advice to parents with similar conditions or similar children is that you need to have that open mind, support your child. Remember, you are not the only person having that condition, having a child with that condition. So come out socially, accept everybody. Don't isolate yourself or isolate the child. Take your child out, take a good care of your child. Don't think that it is a cause of something, so you might try to avoid other people and then behaving antisocially and then hiding your child in the room. Sometimes people don't even want to take their children to school because they will be insulted, or taking their children to church or any social activities. Your child is normal. You are not the only person having such a child. You have to accept the child and move on. Look for advice as to some psychological support to your child, and then you'll be able to cater and do well with your child.
What I will tell parents with children with disability is that assessment center is there for them. Our doors are open. They shouldn't hide them in the rooms. They should bring them out for assessment so that we can bring out the potentials in them.
Parents, having children suffering from autism should not hide them. Please come out, because something can be done about autism. Don't hide them. They are normal people just like us, so don't hide them. Bring them out and we will help. Seek help, seek help. It's possible to reverse it, and we will make them become very productive because they have special type of brains. According to my research, they are very special people. What they can do, the so-called regular human beings or normal human beings that cannot do it. Let me touch your child and you know what he will bring out. They are very, very intelligent children.
Medical experts say Master Phil Bettino can gain 100% recovery from the condition of autism when given continuous medical treatment and attention. For GTV, this is Diana Fawcett reporting from Accra.